Cool. Dude, it feels interesting to me because I've been following you for a while, and it feels like I'm meeting a celebrity. That's,
Well, I don't feel like one, bro. I really don't. So
I mean, your fans are probably all spread out where you never see them.
yeah, they're all travelers and they're all adventurous. They all kind of got their own stuff going on usually.
Awesome, cool. If you don't mind, I'll just jump into it. Only a couple questions. Really, just want to see where we riff off to. Just like how'd you get started doing this, or I guess even rewind before that of what was your upbringing like, and how did that lead you into deciding to become a digital bromad? I love the name, by the way.
My first name, it just was Vagabonding Solo, so it took me a long time to get like an actual good name. That one sucked. But young, I actually traveled a lot. My dad is a contractor, so we were jumping around all the time, and I think that's really helped me with my traveling now, is that I've always kind of had to reset friend groups or just introduce spots. So I grew up in Australia for a little bit, and my sister had her wedding in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. I was young, and that's my first experience with just sort of like Latin American culture. And we went to a club, and I was just dancing with these beautiful Latin women, and I was like, man, I wish I lived out here. Like this is amazing. Prices were affordable, and ever since then, that was in the back of my mind, sort of like, I want to go back there for vacation. I got my degree, and I started working. I taught Python, and I hated it. I was in Seattle. I had to drive an hour and a half there, an hour and a half back through public transit because the parking downtown Seattle is so expensive. A year of that really made me realize that I just wanted something new. And so I took a leap of faith, quit, I wanted something remote, ended up finding something within 6 months, and then I was out. I had a conversation with my manager, and I was like, please let me go to Mexico for a month. And I showed him I had a return ticket that if I fuck up, I got this money set aside, I will be back the next day. I promise. Because he was like, we hung out before, and he knew I drank a lot and liked to party, and he was kind of like, you're not going to get shit done in Mexico. And I was like, I promise you to God I will. And if not, I'll fly back. And that was my first 30 days, and I never went back. After those 30 days, I was like...
What year was that?
That was 2019, like right before the pandemic.
Okay, so you were working remote before it was like normalized, I'd say.
Yeah, just a little bit, but yeah.
Gotcha. So a contractor for what? So you said your dad was a contractor, like he did contract work, but he actually did data analytics, because I know that's what you're kind of doing, or like a contractor like...
He had a security clearance, and so he did contract work for the government. Could never tell me what he was working on. I always thought he was a spy when I was a kid, until I saw him fall into a pool when I was like 12. Yeah. No, I thought he was like, my dad's a secret agent. And then I saw him fall into this pool one time, and just the way he fell and how uncoordinated it was, I was like, I don't think so. That was like my wake up call. But he did I think did management for like government contracts.
Okay. So I don't know, when you said it, I was assuming really young, but so that's not crazy young. So that's old enough where you kind of start taking your own footsteps.
I was 22.
So 22, you go to PV, sounds like for the first time, like at least outside of the country. You realize, wow, Mexico's really cheap. Lots of different women there, right? You're 22. I don't know how old you are now, but at 2019, I guess, how old were you? And I guess, were you dead set on a specific area that you wanted to go to? Was it specifically a part of Mexico?
Yeah, and speaking of like my age, I got started on this really late, and my whole thing with creating the TikTok was I pretended like I was talking to me 6 years ago, and I made content that me 6 years ago would want to see. I phrased it like the way me 6 years ago would want to see it, and trying to convince people to get out here earlier, because that's my biggest regret. I love my life right now, but I really didn't start traveling until I was 29. And I'm at these hostels, and I see these 22-year-old. Yeah, 29 is when I really started the working remote. So I see, gap years and stuff aren't a thing in America, and we don't have a hostel culture. So it's almost impossible for people to travel here, where in Europe and in other countries, they have these hostels, and it's just a better culture. So I want people to realize it's possible when you're younger. Like, you don't have to be rich to travel through Mexico for 4 months. You really could get away with very little funds if you do it right.
Yeah. So being scrappy with it.
Definitely. 29 is when I got started, way too late.
So in 2019, you are 29 in 2019, and you moved to what part of Mexico, and how long did you stay there for?
So I did a lot of research, and it seems like Playa del Carmen, and I would recommend this for anyone else as well, is is a great launching point for someone who wants to be a digital nomad, because it's just enough American. You can get away with not learning Spanish, but you're still getting good prices. You're still in Mexico. It's in between Cancun and Tulum. So you can go party and do like the Cancun life, and then Tulum's a lot more like Instagrammy and sort of rustic beach. And you could go check out Tulum as well. So it was a great spot. I recommend anyone to get started to try Playa del Carmen first.
Yeah. I've actually been to both places except for Playa del Carmen, so maybe that'll be the next place I go to.
How would you think of Tulum?
It's becoming more expensive because I think Tulum is getting very popularized really quickly. When people ask me about Tulum, I say they should go maybe like another hour south. There's Bacalar, Mexico, which has like the really like crystal lake. Still pretty cheap, like even cheaper than Tulum, because Tulum's getting a little hipstery of getting expensive, where the clubs and the nightlife is getting a little higher up there now.
Yeah, 100%. 100% it is.
I always say, however many fake boob jobs or BBLs that you see, that's usually means the prices are going to go up. So 2019, Playa del Carmen, how long did you plan to stay originally there? How long did you actually stay there for, and when did you move?
Yeah, so it was a month. I negotiated a month with my manager, and then ended up staying a month in Playa del Carmen, a month in Cancun, and a month in Tulum. So I ended up staying 90 days, came back for a little bit. I always come back for like Christmas or family events, and then so I usually take like big 4-month, 5-month trips overseas.
Gotcha. Okay, because I just based off your content, it always looks like you're out and you probably just keep circling and cycling, but it does sound like you do come back. Just then it's still a visa and you don't have to have any travel issues like that.
Yeah, it's so nice having an American passport and visa. Like, people ask me all the time how hard our tax is, how hard all these things, and it's really, you just show up. You can show up and stay 180 days in Colombia, not pay a single tax, not have to sign any piece of paper. You know what I mean? It's really wild, and I don't think it's gonna last forever. I think this is like a very special time for that kind of stuff.
So you're at a data analytics job. What company are you at?
I don't like saying my company because I have crazy haters who try to get me fired. They're like very angry at me, and I've got some crazy DMs and like threats. So I just don't like saying. But it's like a.
Is it? So did you start working in California? Is that where you're based out of, according to the U.S. government taxing?
I don't know where this company's actually based out of, because they bought my old. I worked for a smaller company that got bought by this new big company, and so I was a contractor, and now I just got signed on full time. So yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. I'm still pretty new in the transition period to this new company, but I bet they're based out of California or New York, one of the two.
So where do you have as your primary residence that you're getting taxed from the U.S. government then?
Oh, Washington State.
Okay, so you're still technically in Seattle.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So you're dealing with Seattle taxes, and you kind of just travel. Do you even have a place out there, or do you just kind of go back, visit family, maybe stay there for a couple days, and then jump back over to the next spot?
Yeah, my primary residence is in Seattle. And so I do have a spot, but it's like a room. I don't pay that much. You know what I mean? And so they kind of hold it for me. And then family's there, so I can just jump in with family. Yeah. It's pretty much like a storage unit that I'm calling my room.
Makes sense. So when you do jump, so I've seen you went to, I haven't seen Brazil content actually, but I've seen Colombia, Korea, I haven't seen that actually much in Mexico, I think. I went through, I think, every single TikTok that you've had, but those are the big three, it seems like, that are your favorite: Colombia, Korea, or at least Korea seems like maybe at least newer. What have you kind of seen as the price differences between them? Because I don't believe Korea is crazy cheap like Colombia, right?
No, South Korea is not crazy cheap. And as far as like dating culture, I couldn't have picked two places with more of like a juxtaposition. Like, because Latin women and Korean women behave very, very differently, and you have to talk to them differently, and just like the whole culture is just different. But I love them both. I love both places. Korea and Colombia, it would be a toss-up if I had to pick somewhere to live. They're both amazing. I fell into a really good group in Korea too. I think finding a good group of people will make the difference. Like, it could make some small town in Ohio fun as fuck if you found the right friends there. You know what I mean? Like, it's all about the people. So that's my big thing when I travel, is putting myself out there as much as I can to find people that I vibe with, and just, yeah, putting myself out there.
So let's say you're month zero, you're starting over. All right, would you go to some sort of party hostel or a specific type of hostel, or would you try to get like a private room in, let's say, Colombia? We'll start with there before you have a friend group.
You were just starting out, you should definitely go to a hostel. You can get a private room there. There's some really good ones. Selena is a great hostel chain out in South America. They have a program where you pay $1,100 a month. You get a co-working space, you get a room, and you get a private room in a hostel, which is great for making friends because there's a lot of people traveling in the 18-person beds, you know what I mean? And all you got to do is on weekends have a bottle of liquor, be like, hey, we got, head back to my room and hang out, and you'll throw a little party there, make some friends, and yeah, it's a really good way to meet people. And travelers are the best. Like, the people you meet at hostels are down to party, down to live life. Like, they're very spontaneous people. Good, easy to get along with too.
And what would you say the breakup is if you had to ballpark a number between the number of people that are just traveling, vacation, having fun, versus the number of people that are essentially working and traveling at the same time at these hostels?
At Selena, there's a lot of workers because they put a lot of time into their co-working space. So I think Selena's almost like 30, 70. Other hostels, it might be like only 70% of the people are just traveling, 30% are working, I'd say. Other hostels, it might be only 10%, which is rough because you might be the only one that has to go clock in, and everyone's going to waterfalls and fucking around, having all this fun, and you just have to like buckle down and work,
Gotcha. What did your friends and family think when you said, I'm gonna live in Mexico for a month? So it sounds like I know what your boss sounds like, but what did your friends and family think?
My mom was like, there's a lot of beaches out in Texas that are very beautiful, and you can just go travel in America. She was very worried about that I was going to get kidnapped. I heard that a lot from my friends. You're going to get kidnapped, you're going to get robbed. Colombia, Mexico, bro. And then really after the years and years of doing this and coming back to my friends and having them seeing me travel and then have to come out and hearing the same thing, people will really give you, if they're telling you not to go, they're going to tell you the reasons why they're too afraid to go. That's what they'll tell you. And so it started out with a lot of friends and family saying, you can't do this, or be careful, you're going to get robbed, you're going to you know what I mean? And then seeing me do it, and now they're like, so how are kidnappings out? Is anyone like the same question, but now they're like trying to figure out for themselves how to go. But it was a lot of pushback. I mean, this was one of the things in my life that I've probably done where it was just 100% me, and it felt great. You know what I mean? Like college, my family was like supportive, friends and family supportive. Most jobs, every little decision I made, this was the one where like not a lot of people supported me, but I did it and it worked out, and like that's makes it all the better to me.
You did the roll of the dice and it landed in your favor.
Yeah, exactly. I think fortune favors the bold too. Not to say that there weren't hiccups, but you just have to keep at it. Like my first Airbnb was a shit show. I lost 50% of it because it was in a really bad spot and I wanted to change, but I did a month-long rental, so they were like, you get zero refund, and I had to fight. So I lost like $600 the first 2 days I was in Mexico. And then just it started really downhill, but getting better at it and making mistakes and learning from it, it was worth it.
Making sure you get better and better spots. So when you do go to a new country, do you usually try to do the hostel first, and then if you do go back, maybe you don't go a hostel, or do you usually stick to the hostel route?
I've been doing it different every time. I don't know. I'm very impulsive and very I'll research the country first, and if I like an Airbnb spot, I'll check that out. I used to do month-longs. Now I'm doing more I like doing weeks in different neighborhoods, because you really don't know until you get there. You really, really don't know until you're walking around the neighborhood. So what I would recommend now is going to a hostel, because it's cheap and you don't have to commit, making friends, and people at the hostel have super valuable information about the area. Explore the area and then maybe get a month-long Airbnb somewhere you really like now that you know the area. Or don't commit to a month-long Airbnb first, because things move fast usually overseas. That's the beauty of the flexibility of like Airbnbs and rentals, is that they're short term. So don't commit until you see it.
We'll clip that. Don't commit until you see it. Week long at the max, because during the full month, I'm imagining that's gone bad a few times, especially. Sounds like it already has. So weeks at a time. So you're kind of just bouncing around. Do you usually try to stay in a place for a certain amount of time, like not at, like stay in a country for a certain amount of time? Because flights are probably the most expensive thing for you actually, instead of actually living there.
Yeah, that's a great point, and it really is. It's flights, like getting to Asia sucked. Living in Asia was super cheap. So I like to say no less than a month, and because when you're working, you really don't see, you can't see everything in less than a month.
I like that. Oh. So then let's dive deep into the numbers now. So if you don't mind sharing, if you say no, you can just give us a range. Like income wise, where are you at, so people can know, like if you're at this income, this is kind of what their lifestyle could look like if they were in one of these countries.
Yeah, definitely. So I don't mind sharing it. I don't mind sharing it at all. So I currently make $84,000 a year salary, which is way more than you would need to travel. So I don't want to, but travel and live my lifestyle. I mean, you've seen my content, like I take helicopter rides or be on boat trips and shit like that. So you definitely don't need to have that kind of money. But
So after taxes and from Seattle, I mean, are you looking closer to like 65-ish post-tax? Trying to think what that would be.
yeah, 65-ish. I started an LLC for my TikTok content, and so now I get to write off the majority of my travel and everything on my taxes, because I'm trying to start a company where I do travel guides to cities, especially like Medellin. I've been there so many times, I know the city so well, and have inspired so many people to check it out, that if I sell like a in-depth guide for $20 with videos about dating, best restaurants, best neighborhoods, that's my next move. So I'm hoping to do something like that soon.
I did see you had the URL, so I was gonna I actually had that as a list of questions to start diving into that about how you plan to monetize and kind of your following and things like that. Expenses wise, what do you usually try to spend? Do you keep a budget? How does that work for you?
I got to admit, I'm so fucking bad at budgeting. I don't budget. I live very much like, look at my account and be like, what can I get away with this month? And when I overdo it, I'm like, I'm doing hostels for 2 weeks, recover, then jump back out. Like that's one of the beauties of this lifestyle, is I don't have to commit to any sort of monthly payments, and I'm always turning the knobs, dialing them up and down. I love variety in my life, so I love being able to live like a millionaire for a week and then turn it back and just relax and kick back and get work done in a hostel and save up again. And it's really fun. It's really fun to, I think as a digital nomad, more people should play around with their lifestyle, like just turn that knob back and forth. It's a lot of fun.